always, when you finish such a long period, 8 years, at the helm of such an important organization like UNESCO, you always have second thoughts. On one side, of course, you say, oh, it's good, you know, because I did this or that, and then you have some second thoughts, oh, maybe I should have done more on other issues. I think for this period, one of the most difficult questions that I had to deal with too. The first was the destruction of heritage, the advent of extremism in Syria, Iraq. It started, of course, in Mali with the destruction of the mausoleums, some of the mosques. Then it went to the Daesh, what they did, destroying world heritage. It was really heartbreaking to see something that belongs to whole humanity and protected under UNESCO, the UNESCO Convention, that is being deliberately targeted by these extremists. So how to respond to this was a difficult question for me. On one side, because politicians and people who are in peace and security, I had to convince them that this is very much linked to this. It is not just some art lovers and historians, but it is important for peace, for humanity. And I'm very proud that there were several resolutions of the Security Council for the first time that were dedicated to the protection of heritage, against looting, illicit trafficking of antiquities, and the last in March 2017, which was adopted unanimously, saying that protection of heritage has a direct link to peace and security. If you destroy it, it's a threat to it. The second probably difficult question to deal with was the financial crisis, because you may remember that Palestine joined UNESCO in 2011, and we lost the funding from the United States. It was not a deliberate decision of the administration, I have to say. It was just because of some laws adopted in the past, which provided for an automatic suspension of the funding. So whatever the reason, it was difficult in order to adapt the organization, but we did it. We adapted the organization, and we continued to be very strong, to be involved in all the United Nations effort for adoption of the Sustainable Development Agenda, for the Paris Climate Agreement. I very much have always been into the intercultural dialogue, living together. So I think when I left, UNESCO was a very solid, stable organization that has contributed a lot. Now, whether I could have done more? Probably, because it's such a wide agenda that I had to divide my attention to both culture and education and the sciences and oceans and all this. It's very challenging time. But I have the feeling, a very rewarding feeling, that UNESCO stays strong, that in difficult circumstances, me and my team have really pulled all our resources together with the support of member states, strong support from United Arab Emirates, I would say, in all the different areas, in the area of cultural protection, tangible, intangible, in many of these Sharjah with its very strong focus on culture, the famous already well-established prize Sharjah UNESCO for Arab Culture. His Highness Sheikh Sultan has come to us. I have been here. Support for the Unite for Heritage campaign, for education. I think with such a support, you can never fail. I thought that if I can manage such complex situation, you know, and at UNESCO, that maybe this gave me the force also to aspire. And I thought that it's good to have more women candidates. We had very strong women candidates. I'm very happy. They're all my friends. We still stay friends with most of them. Helen Clark from UNDP, we're constantly in touch with her. Susanna Malcorra, who was Chief of Staff of the then Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon, and others. I think it was a very good time. I don't regret any single moment of this time. I learned a lot, the hard way also sometimes in such a campaign. But the most important, I think, is always to be true to yourself. I have a lot of respect to Antonio Guterres, the current Secretary General. I immediately congratulated him on the election. He was a good colleague from the UN system. I think this should be like this always. But I believe UNESCO, with its very large mandate and also its very political nature, because at UNESCO diplomacy is really every single day is there. My ambition always has been to get countries together around certain issues, to overcome difficulties, to be fair to everybody, and also small and big, powerful and weak, rich and poor. I think this is what multilateralism is all about, and this has always been my ambition. That's why nowadays I suffer when I see that multilateralism is under attack, because there is no other way. I mean, we are bound to live together on this. There is no planet B, as Mr. Ban Ki-moon was saying at that time. So I continue working for the strengthening of multilateralism. No, I believe that the women's empowerment is not just a matter for women. And it is not just a matter for historic justice, so to say. It is, of course, we know that. But I do believe that this is an agenda for the 21st century, because this is the way societies will become more peaceful, societies will become more prosperous, families will be growing better, there will be more social inclusion and social cohesion. And I think nowadays, in this year, where we celebrate the 20th anniversary of a historic, once again, resolution of the Security Council on women, peace and security, I think it's the right time to once again emphasize that without women you cannot have a sustainable peace and you cannot have a post-conflict reconstruction. And we have plenty of examples to show that women really can play a critical role in this. So just one example. As I said, it's a societal issue. It's equally an issue for the men and for the women together. We are all together partners in this world. And that is why I believe it should be achieved.